Welcome to the 20th episode of our show, Talk to Coach in association with India Coaching Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. This is your host, Khushboo Sharma. Welcomes you on a forum this afternoon. We truly appreciate your presence and time. And as I always say, we come together with the sheer purpose of getting an inch more closer to coaching and its business. And we are very happy to be able to discover that we are able to add value to your lives and to your thought process and to your coaching business. And today, yet again, we are here on this forum exclusively there for you, sharing our wisdom with you and making a difference. Well, uh, there was a time when most people began successful careers by developing expertise in technical, functional, or professional domain. Now, doing the job mostly at that point in time meant having the right answers. So, if you could prove yourself that way, you would rise the ladder and eventually move into a higher role. And as a manager, you probably knew what needed to be done, you taught others how to do it, and you evaluated people's performance. And that is it. However, it's not the same anymore. Well, let's dive in for a conversation with our most amazing, highly learned, and well experienced in the field of learning and development, our very own Dr. Dhirendra Gautam. Welcome to the 20th show, Dr. Gautam. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you, Khushboo, and it's really great. Week by week, we are talking to the people, and we are able to reach them, and we are able to really help them by answering the questions they are asking in
Absolutely.
our talk show. And this is really adding value to the people's life.
It is indeed adding a lot of value, Dr. D, because the kind of conversations that even I have with people around and the kind of questions that pours in, it really speaks volume. So I think it's a great feeling altogether. Well, Dr. D, so today, like how I was talking, command and control was the name of the game back then. And ideally, the goal was to direct and develop employees who understood how the business worked or how the organization culture was, basically, for them to be able to reproduce their own success of the organization. And apparently, today, rapid, constant, and disruptive change is now the norm. And what succeeded in the past is probably no longer a guide to what will succeed in the future. Now, to cope with this new reality, Dr. D, companies are, as we all know, companies are moving away from traditional command and control practices and towards something very different. I can call it probably a model on coaching. So, what would you say on that? What is your say on that? And is this what is going to help the organizations, or do you think this should have taken place long before?
I think it's a really very good question, Khushboo, and everybody, as you know, that we have another talk shows, and where we invite almost all the CHROs and learning and developing head of the Fortune 500 company on our talk show, and they share their word of wisdom relating to the coaching, training, and learning and development.
Right.
So almost everybody has started acknowledging and experiencing the change that they need to bring with the people in their organization at all level.
Mm.
And this is I called the journey of evolution, which is happening very rapidly and very strongly in India. And of course, it already had happened in most of the Western countries, Europe and America, I think a decade back. And how it is changing, that we need to understand, why this command and control and more of the procedures, the more of the autocratic style of managing the business and people is not working, and it is not going to work. There is a reason for that. There was a day, 20, 30 years back in India, where the Maslow's theory, I always keep on saying, the two basic need fundamentals, survival and safety and security, that was the dominant at that time. But now, because of the economic growth of India, because of the more education and qualification in India, the average Indians are far better qualified than any country in this world, and they are technically and professionally trained. and we are one of the biggest country where the highest number of technical people like engineers and all technicians are getting produced, and that's why we are one of the leading in the IT sector, providing almost all global companies. And so it is dominating in medical sector, pharma sector. Lot of sectors are now started dominating, where India has become like kind of a big like very respectable in those sector. And as a result, what happened ki, like the employees, whether they are working as a first level staff or the managerial level, the two basic needs are no more the motivation factor. See, if the peoples are struggling with their safety, security, and basic survival need, you can manage the being autocratic like kingdom. But when those are no more the motivator, even the people in the organization, especially the millennials, what we call Generation G,
जी,
they are operating from the top three level, where they need their respect, belongingness, recognition, self-esteem, and self-actualization from the day one.
true.
Yes, they are ready to negotiate in terms of a lesser package, which can be possible as a fresher, but they are not ready to negotiate in the respect, recognition, and their self-esteem and their self-actualization need is there.
Right,
And when people start operating from that level of need, there is no gap, neither intellectually, not financially, not by the status. So you cannot manage those kind of people through the old style of being in control and in command.
right,
That is the biggest change which had happened in last 15, 20 years in India. And that's why all the management, all the organization, of course, we talk about the Fortune 1000 or 500 companies, they have
right.
started thinking in that way, that yes, we need to be dealing with the people more democratically, more in transformative way, more in agile way, more in belongingness and respect of mutual each and other, where even a staff level people, a junior manager is also get respected and rewarded, and for their kind of contribution they are able to produce for their function, department, and company. If that is not there, it will be very difficult for the organization to attract and keep the good talent in the organization. The
True.
second thing which I would like to share is that though companies who need to keep the peak performer in their organization, the average better people who are able to contribute better way or more in your organization, retaining them will be a bigger challenge if you are not treating them or respecting them with equality and inclusiveness. These two things are very important. You have to show them that yes, they are, irrespective of their position and profile, they are working in the organization, they are equally contributing into the success and growth, the work culture of the organization, and in the contribution towards creating the work culture in the company and the organization. And here what it comes, to keep and retain those kind of people is becoming very challenging. And that's why I was saying that now the organization, this leadership team, the learning and development people, the human resource management team, they have started understanding that yes, any employee, he or she is the employee second, first they are the human being,
Right,
and being first they are a human being, So they has to be treated and transformed like a human being first, and then automatically they will able to be a better employee in the organization. And here the role of coaching and a better coaching, whether inside the organization through coaching or mentoring by the senior people or the capable people, or engaging outside coaches to coach and train and transform them, becoming very, very, very important. If you will not able to do that, then keeping them motivated to produce the same better result will be difficult. At the
True.
same time, you have the opportunity or you have the miss opportunity to lose them to your competitor or to the startups. Yeah, because a startup ecosystem is also is the second largest startup ecosystem in India, in the world. And almost every month we see one or two companies in India, I mean more than that sometime, are becoming unicorns, and that becoming the high attraction for the people, especially the youth in our country, that they has the opportunity to start up their own and become the entrepreneur and become the business owner on their own self. Yes, this is required, this is the need of the hour, this is required by the country, because we have so many peoples and we need to have more and more industry, more and more business, more and more startups to be setting it up and flourishing and growing it up, so that it can create the opportunity for the employment to the people. At the same time, it has to add to the GDP of the country to become India another superpower in corporate and business. So these are the things are very important, and this is the main prime reason, people's in the bigger organization, the leaders in the organization, they are looking for a bigger transformation at the organizational level, and their thought process, how they are empowering their people, how they are training their people, how they are keeping their people motivated in the organization. And you should not mind, we should not mind, these are the people who are going to become your future leaders. So, if you need to have many future leaders in your organization, because one thing we have realized that many of the Indian companies are going to become global companies. The days has gone. Now, Indian companies are the world largest, richest countries in this world. We are many organizations are there in top 5 and top 10 richest organization and people in this world. So our company and our organizations are growing global. They required thousands of business leaders to manage their size, shape, and geography where they are operating across the globe, across the country, many places in this world. So, keeping those guys in your organization, motivate them, empower them, nourish them, transform them to make them the future leader is also very important, and that can only be possible by becoming a transformative organization where employees, whether the managers or leaders, are coached as a human being, and they are empowered as a human being to become future business leader. Yeah.
So, Dr. D, now since we are talking about this, if you could just throw a little light on one more factor that is coming in my mind. So, now we have been experiencing as coaches that coaching clients tell us about the leadership skills they want to cultivate in themselves, and or probably throughout their firms. Like a lot of clients when they come and they speak about it. So, and we've noticed that more and more of the companies we work with are actually investing a lot of money in training their leaders as coaches. Now, increasingly, coaching is becoming, of course, an integral. It is actually becoming integral to the fabric of a learning culture in any organization.
Right.
Basically, a skill that a skill probably for good managers at all levels need to develop and they deploy. This is the approach that the organizations have. My thought here to you is now. is it just that the coaching for the managers or the budding managers is what's going to help, or should organizations also look at the broader angle of coaching? Do you think that still organizations are restricting themselves with just one part of the coaching, which is to develop their managers? Do you think this is what is going to help, or should organizations look at the broader angle of coaching too?
Yes, I think very relevant question, and it is also getting somehow uh, transform. Slowly, it will take time because the reason is like that. You want remember another session I was sharing. As per the research, the average age of the business leader in Fortune 500 company is 50 plus, and the average age of the workforce in the organization is 30 years in India. So the business leaders are from the older generation, and to realize this, what you are asking in the question slightly will take time. But I think our Indian business leaders are very capable, very competent, and very transparent. Our people are at par with the world's best leadership and best technically qualified and capable peoples in the organizations, not only in India, but wherever we are working in this world, leading many top business entrepreneurs and as a leadership in many countries and in the world. So they are understanding it's slightly going to take time because of the size of the country and the population we are dealing with. Yes, and in order to do that, we need to play a very bigger role as a coach, and the Coaching Federation of India, like India Coaching Federation and the similar organizations who are present in this country, they need to play an important role. See, training and skill development and competency building was integral part of the corporates for a long time.
For a long time, right?
Somehow there is a confusion that coaching is a upgrade version of training that has to be taken out from the mind, and
Completely.
for that they need to understand what is the definition of coaching and what is training. And I have talked in several of my talks. So coaching is all about people transformation. People is first, and
Yes.
training is all about skills and competency building.
Right. Right.
Why in India earlier only competencies and skill building was required? I
Mm.
remember, Khushboo, when we were studying 20, 30 years back, when we were looking for getting into the corporate, there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of challenges with the people. Many of us, we come from Hindi medium. We were not knowing that how to speak better way in English. We
Mm.
didn't know what is presentation skill, what is communication skill. Soft skill was zero because we come from government school background and all that. In last 20, 30 years, I think in top 100 cities in India, almost all the kids are coming from public schools, and what we have learned at our graduation level, at professional level, the kids are learning now at ninth and 10th class.
Okay.
So the communication skill, presentation skill, confidence, influential skill, these are no more required for the this generation what we are coming in the workforce anymore. They are far better capable
Father.
and equally or better competent with the world class, especially in India.
Yeah.
So the need of skills and competency buildings are becoming highly selective or more of a technical kind of things, and that's why the confusion is there, and people are somehow confused. Okay, now we have to focus on coaching and it is advanced version of training. No, coaching is all about people. And start like last Wednesday when I was talking to one of the learning and development head of a Fortune 500 company, I was saying this to him. See, your coaching assessment will able to guide you what are the gap a human being is having, and that can be a roadmap for your training plan.
Mm.
Because when we do coaching, we first understand the human being as a human being, and any person, whether he is a senior manager or junior manager or business leader or CEO or the CMD
Right.
of the organization, he is a human being first. The life, career, and relationship challenges, what happens to all the people in this world, he or she is also having those kind of challenges. And being a leader, slightly to manage their public profile, they even don't have the opportunity to release those tensions what they have because of their personal life and relationship and career challenges. So
Right.
they are more needs to be transformed as a human being. So yes, business leader in the senior role, they needs to be coached first.
First.
And when you are able to coach the business leader, they will become capable of coaching and transforming their the juniors, and then their juniors to their juniors, and they will able to start coaching and mentoring to their whole organization in that way. And when you do the analysis, like I think one of the question was there ki how sometime the sponsor, or sometime the HR team, or sometime the people who engage you for the coaching, they try to advise you what to be done.
Right.
I think this is a very debatable issue, and I would not like to get into what is right and what is wrong. Everything is right if they have a better assessment system with the organization who can assess the gap of a business leader or a manager. Then
Mm.
of course they are authorized and they are good, they are justifiable to propose a coaching plan for their business leader and manager or executives. What
Mm-hmm.
are the primarily they required to be done as a coaching, and what are the outputs should be coming. Even after that, at India Coaching Federation, we have developed a high level assessment tool for the analysis and diagnostic of the competency and the leadership gap. And this
Yes.
leadership gap, we are able to identify not only at the skills and competency level, job and career level, but also at the life,
Mm.
relationship, and financial
Career.
need level
Right.
also. So
True.
all the gap has to be diagnosed, because anybody who is ready to transform and having challenges, even he or she will try to explain her challenge or his challenge to the coach. That will be a little bit part of the challenge will be there in that explanation also.
Mm.
So the problem will not be able to define very properly. So as a responsible coach, even you are advised by the sponsor or the coachee or the learning and development manager of the coaching organization, then still you should go with your diagnostic process to assess the challenges in the life, in the career, in the business they are managing. And then you should be able to identify after diagnostic what are the gaps are there in
Mm.
the life, in the career, and in the business, what they are
Business.
managing as a business leader and corporate. And
Mm.
then only you will able to create a roadmap for their coaching. If a person, a business leader, having a severe life and relationship problem, which he is not able to share with anybody, I'm
Mm.
sharing an example,
Right.
but that is impacting his performance or her performance in the organization, and he is not able to share with the sponsor, and a sponsor is just identifying the capability why he is able to not manage his role as a business leader by XYZ reason. And if you start just fulfilling that gap as a coach, then you are doing half of the things. It will never able to get transformed. We have to get it to the root cause. And research says almost 100% people in this world, they have life and relationship problems,
Mm.
some kind of
Right.
problems. Is not mean that you are fighting with each other.
Correct.
No,
Correct. Correct.
managing the relationship, managing the expectation in the relationship, and that is not only with your spouse and family member. In an
That,
organization, you are working, you are dealing with senior, subordinate, customer, supplier, stakeholder, and your investor.
Right.
So all your external and internal stakeholders are also human beings. They are also people. So
True.
how to manage the expectation with different people in the organization, in your life, in your career, in your business is very, very important and integral part of the human being. And unless that is getting identified and that is going to be transformed, the complete transformation will not happen. And all the coaching process which will be done, it will be failed. That's why it is the wisdom of the coach or the wisdom of the people who are assessing that person to do a throughout diagnostic, life,
True.
career, and the business profile they are managing it. All these three has to happen, and of course the relationship. Because in organization, from morning to evening, you are dealing with the peoples, and
True.
most of the challenges, one of the biggest challenge for the leaders in the organization is the people management. People
Right.
management, performance
Absolutely.
management, team management,
Absolutely.
everything relating it to the people, and this is the biggest challenge. So
Absolutely.
managing the relationship challenge, normally people they understand, okay, managing the relationship with your wife and husband. No, no, that is anyway getting managed.
True.
But
True.
managing the people in the organization is more important. And
Right.
unless you understand how to manage them, real transformation and real coaching will not be happening.
Right.
So that is the way people need to understand and needs to design the gaps and then the future roadmap of transformation to coach the people in all angles, and then only they will be able to become a transformed business leader.
Well, Dr. D, I mean, I think what an insightful conversation. I think a lot of food of thought, and at the same time, quite interesting conversation. You've put across few things very, very clearly and very transparently. And I think all the viewers of our show right now, I think we should definitely ponder our thoughts on whatever that we've discussed today, whether we are a coach or we are a coachee, or we are the organizations or an employee of an organization. Well, thank you very much, Dr. D. On that note, I can just say that we should note that when we talk about coaching, we mean something broader, something bigger than just the efforts of a consultant who are hired to help executives build their personal and professional skills. You know, that work is important and sometimes vital, but it's temporary and executed by some people. The coaching that Dr. D and we've been talking about all these episodes, the kind that creates a true learning organization, is ongoing and executed by those inside the organizations. So, hence, when it comes to organizations, they need to look at them and coach them first. It's one thing to aspire to that kind of coaching, but it's another to make it happen as an everyday practice throughout the many layers of an organization. At most firms, a biggest gap still yawns between aspirations and practice. And we've tried to help bridge that gap through this episode. Well, I'm sure this episode must have been extremely interesting for you. It was for me indeed. This brings us to the end of our episode today. Thank you very much, Dr. D, for your presence here today. We had a great time listening to you yet again. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. Many thanks to all those who joined in today's afternoon. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being here. It's time to say bye for now. Stay tuned for the next episode on next Saturday. Namaste.
Namaste. I think one point I would like to add, Khushboo, one of
Yes,
our
please.
viewers they have asked today, is it practical? And I think we need to be taking this kind of question in our next show. Even I
Certainly.
believe that the lot of people they have the doubt about the coaching, how practical this coaching is there, and we know that that India Coaching Federation we have did a total 7 years of research to create this framework. How practical, we call it scientific framework to transform the people, so that we need to be taking care of. And the viewers who has asked today, one of our LinkedIn viewer, Mr. Srijit V Raj, he has asked this question, how it is practical. So I think we should be able to take in one of our session the practicality approach of the coaching, how practical a coaching can be in our next
Sure.
session. So thanks a
Absolutely. We're
lot.
going to take this
Yeah,
up in the next episode. I would request the viewer to please join in. I'm certain
yeah,
that you would get an answer to your question.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.